Welcome back to BadgerBlitz TV, your Rivals.com destination for all things Wisconsin athletics. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by my good friend, Rivals.com national analyst Clint Cosgrove. Like we always say, buddy, best part of the week.
Best part of the week. Let's be awesome.
Let's be awesome today. We're getting awesome with each other all week. You joined me and Bernie on the podcast because it had been almost a month since you came on, which is far too long without getting the three of us together. But we're back here on BadgerBlitz TV today to talk specifically Badger recruiting, the transfer portal, all the stuff going on. But Clint, you were in if you are a recruiter, you were in one of the best places for anyone in the country this past week. You were down at the AllAmerican game. You saw the combine, about 600, so many underclassmen there as well. Clint, just like, talk about the scene from San Antonio. You were there when we filmed last time. You had just gotten there. Breaks down like the week that happened, what you saw, who you saw, what stood out to you.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible week. It was crazy. You know, there was 3-4 days of practices leading up to the game. There was a combine in between there, like you said, for underclassmen. Now the game was just 2023, so it was mostly guys who would sign. But I mean, dude, like, you walk on the field and you're like, there's future pros, future first rounders all over the place. And I was with the East team most of the week. You know, there was one combined practice that I was able to see them. They did kind of like situational scrimmaging. And then during the game, obviously, where they played each other, I mean, just dudes all over the place, 5 stars everywhere. You know, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate, both going to Ohio State at receiver. You know, you got Justice Haynes, the running back, Ruben Owens, going to, you know, Haynes to Alabama, Owens to, I believe he ended up at Texas A&M, Dante Moore, quarterback, if I didn't already say that. Like, they're just dudes all over the place, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, Keon Keeley, a lot of Alabama dudes, I guess, but a lot of Notre Dame, a lot of Ohio State. But it was just an impressive week, and the dudes are just different. There were some big-time players there, so that was fun. The combine, that was over 600 underclassmen, not as an elite of a group as a whole, obviously, anytime you get 600 guys together, but there was a lot of good talent there. You know, not as much from the Midwest. There was a lot of Midwest guys in the game, actually. No, not a lot, but like a decent amount when you look at it from a national perspective. Malik Elzy, Dante Moore, like I said. I mean, there was a bunch. Luke Montgomery, Carnell Tate, who was originally from the Midwest, but you know, a lot of dudes. It was a good time. Got to hang out with Goldberg on the sidelines during the All-American
I saw that
game.
you Goldberg and Gorney, right? Just chopping it up.
No, it was me, Goldberg, and J.R. Niklos.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if they played in the NFL together or something. I feel like they know each other. But yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a great experience. Excited to do it again. It was nice to get home and get a little sleep and just, you know, right back at it, man. So it was a great week overall.
What's that? I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
you know, speaking of the All-American game, Jonas Duclona was there. I saw a couple clips of him. He looked like he could hold his own against some of the best competition, which is what you want to see out of a kid who you got late in the cycle. So I think that the ceiling's really high for him and a lot of these, you know, other young defensive backs that the Badgers are bringing in. But however, they're not just bringing in young guys. They've been bringing in lots of veterans or guys who, let's say, via the portal right now. I think they're up to 14 as we record here on a Wednesday afternoon.
Is it 14?
I believe so.
I thought it was 12.
It's 12 or 14. I'm sure that someone in the den can let us know for sure. But what I will say that it's been pretty incredible to see how many guys Wisconsin has gotten. And the latest one is Quincy Burrows, which makes he's the 4th Cincinnati player to enter the transfer portal and come to Wisconsin. They recently got both Joe Huber and Jake Renfro, offensive linemen. Now they have Will Pauling and Quincy Burrow, the wide receivers. Clint, I think, you know, obviously on top of just plugging holes and adding talent, one of the things that they're able to do with these additions is, you know, have guys who know the culture. And how important is that sort of knowledge to have those kinds of guys brought into the program by Luke Fickell? The guys have already played for him and that he knows already, and the other coaches, obviously, who came over with them.
Yeah, I think it's important for a number on a number of fronts, I guess. First being these are guys that they have coached. They're not going to bring in a guy who and keep in mind, Coach Fickell coached the bowl game, so they can kind of do a little comparison, and they have a good idea if these guys can play or not at the Wisconsin level if they make the team better. So you got to like that. They've coached the guys, they know what they're getting. They wouldn't have offered them and tried to bring them along if they didn't think that they were, make the team better as far as a football player, but B, culture fit for what they already have in Madison. They're probably saying, okay, who would be a great fit here? Who can maybe bridge that gap between the coaching staff and the old kind of, the players from the old coaching staff who are still on the team. So I think they're going to be great culture guys who can kind of, maybe bridge the gap when there's change. And so when a new coaching staff comes in, you're fully aware, and especially when they're bringing in a bunch of guys, not everybody's going to be happy that they're bringing in guys at their position. I think when you bring in guys from Cincinnati, and as this new staff has, football wise, yes, but culture fit really important. Guy like Jake Renfro, who was he was really good coming out of high school. It was probably down to Northern Illinois, maybe Cincinnati. His dad played at Illinois, but just tough kid, center. Really liked him coming out of high school. Ends up in Cincinnati. I think starts like 19 games or something for him. So I think he will be a good fit. He's got that old school Wisconsin toughness mentality. So maybe just like I said, bridging the gap, and they're known commodities to these coaches. They would have not brought him in if they weren't going to make the team better in some way. I have a feeling that the guys who they are bringing in from Cincinnati are going to make the team better in multiple ways, whether it be being that bridge like I talked about, whether it be making him better at the position, whether it be to be an immediate starter, whatever it is. I think they were very strategic with how they went about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. One of the other things that the Badgers have done well in this short era of Luke Fickell is, let's just say, poach coaches from other teams. I mean, they are going out and they're getting coaching talent. For me, honestly, almost just as important as recruiting is in eyeing player talent is having an eye for coaching talent. And I think that Fickell definitely clearly has an eye for coaching talent and the ability to get some of these guys to come and not necessarily take a step back, but maybe take a lateral step in terms of a title to come to Wisconsin, which is not necessarily, what you see every day.
Yeah. I don't know his background with these coaches, but the guys he's bringing in are successful, proven coaches. Longo, obviously his offense is kind of, spoke for itself. And I'm sure Coach Fickell either has coached with him in the past or just has a ton of respect for him. Who is it? Haynes they brought in from Minnesota.
Correct.
He's been around. I think he's been a head coach. Great guy. I met him on the recruiting trail once where was that? I was coaching at Dartmouth. I think I met him at a high school in Michigan. In Brother Rice. Wow, that would have been like 11, 12 years ago. Sorry to take a trip down memory lane, but really nice guy. Obviously a heck of a coach who's done big things. So, I think one of the things when you're a guy like Fickell, I think he was very happy at Cincinnati, but he probably said, there's a couple of things that I feel like we could, if I had the resources to do so, I could do and really take this to the next level. He looks at Wisconsin. They obviously offered him resources when coming in. And he said, you know what, these are, and as a coach, you always have these things in the back of your head. If I was able to do this, if I were to get this job, if I'm doing this, whatever the scenario may be, who are the people that I would like to come along with me? And, Fickell's been doing this and been very successful for a while now. And I think he's able to put together pieces of that puzzle with the resources that Wisconsin has. So he's not going to shy away from competition. That's for sure. They're not afraid to swing and miss, and they've gotten a lot of swinging and hits in the transfer portal, obviously, already, and then obviously what they're doing on the coaching staff side as well.
You talk about not being afraid of competition. That's clearly the mindset they have established to the players too. Or otherwise, you don't bring in 2 4-star quarterbacks from the same high school class who've both only been in college for 1 year. But because the old school way of doing it, right, is you bring in 1 quarterback every year. Blah 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 blah. And at Wisconsin, what we know is that, someone would not necessarily be anointed per se, but there would not be necessarily the competition and someone to push the starter at all times. And so I think this is a really different approach, especially, Mordecai, yes, like the assumption is that Mordecai is going to be the guy going forward for this season with his 1 year eligibility remaining. But you're bringing in these guys who've got 3-4 years left of eligibility, and it, it really emphasizes that competition within the locker room. And I would imagine that's only a good thing and can only help the program grow.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to compete with the best, you've got to be able to compete against the best, and you can't be afraid of competition. I'm sure for some guys it might seem like a slap in the face, but this isn't about feelings. It's about creating as much competition as you can in the building. I think they're very probably upfront and honest with people who go to Georgia and Alabama that they're trying to out recruit them the very next year.
The very
There's no
next
secret
day.
about that. Yeah, yeah, and if Wisconsin wants to play at that level, obviously there's certain restraints to making it to that level. But to at least compete at that level, every few years and compete for at least the Big Ten championship every year, that's what you need to do. You need to bring in, you need to make the environment as competitive as possible. And you can do that without getting away from the Wisconsin way necessarily. It's just a little more competition. Now, you also see almost like a NFL player personnel type approach here where they come in, they identify holes in the team. That was a big part of Coach Fickell, coaching the bowl game and everything. I think he wanted to see where are we good at, where can we use help at, where can we use depth at, where can we use competition at, if we're going to need to get to the level that maybe we were the year that we went to the playoff at Cincinnati. So the blueprint's there. Now they just need to get the personnel, whether it be new personnel to create competition or personnel to fit the way they're going to scheme and build the team. But I think, you look at the quarterback room and they said, maybe there's a guy or two in here who can start. We don't have the depth or the competition that we need. And, the guys who are in the room are young for the most part. So I think they're looking at it like we have holes to fill. We're going to do whatever we can to do that. Year one, I wouldn't expect this transfer portal to be the block is hot so much, in years to come, because they will, and like you'll see right now, they're getting a mix of veteran guys like Mordecai, and then the young guys like Pauling and Burrows, who still have years of eligibility, kind of like we've talked about before. So it seems like a lot of transfers right now. I don't think this will be the norm. It's to fill immediate holes, to create competition, and to really build that foundation of what they expect the program to be moving forward.
Yeah, you're right. It is 12 right now. So, but speaking of that competition, I hope that there's no competition trying to push either you or me out of the way here on BadgerBlitz TV. I don't think there is, but with the portal these days, John might just bring someone in for a little extra competition to make sure that we are staying up on
our toes.
Game. For now, we're both staying on scholarship here on BadgerBlitz TV. So we will be back next week with more questions and answers and insights from Clint Cosgrove. He's at @rivals_Clint on all the social media. Make sure that you are subscribing here to the YouTube page. Subscribe to BadgerBlitz and In the Den. I mean, there's new stuff coming every 5 seconds, so there's no reason to not be in there.
It's been hot
all
there
day. It's bumping. I love it. We got a bunch. There's a bunch of new contributors and visitors, and it's really enjoyable. So we are a welcoming group. So come on into the Badgers Den. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of BadgerBlitz TV. We'll be back again next week, and until next time, we'll see you in the Den.
In the Den.